The docking bay on Outpost K-17 always smelled like burnt metal and old oil. Darren Hale preferred it that way. It meant work, and work meant distraction. He wiped his hands on a stained cloth, glancing up as a battered starcraft drifted into the hangar. The ship looked like it had survived a war and lost. Its hull was scorched, one engine sputtering with a dying whine before finally going silent. "Another wreck," Darren muttered. But something about this one felt off. The ship's design wasn't standard Federation, nor was it pirate scrap. Its curves were too elegant, too deliberate, as if it had once been something beautiful before being torn apart by violence. The ramp hissed open, and she stepped out. At first glance, she looked human. Tall, slender, pale from exhaustion. Her dark hair clung to her face, damp with sweat, and her clothes, what remained of them, were torn and streaked with soot. But her eyes, they shimmered faintly, like starlight trapped behind glass. "Mechanic?" she asked, her voice strained. Darren nodded slowly. "Depends. You paying?" She hesitated, as if the question itself was foreign to her. "I can compensate you," she said finally. That wasn't reassuring. Still, Darren had seen worse customers. "All right," he said, gesturing toward the ship. "What's wrong with it?" Her lips parted slightly. "Everything." It took Darren less than 5 minutes to realize this wasn't a normal repair job. It took him 10 to realize the ship should not have been able to land at all. "This engine's fried," he muttered, crouched near the exposed core. "Your stabilizers are barely holding together, and what the hell is this?" The central drive wasn't like anything he'd seen before. It pulsed faintly, as if alive. The woman stood behind him, watching carefully. "Can you fix it?" she asked. Darren scratched his chin. "Fix it?" "Yeah." "Understand it?" "Not even close." A faint, almost amused smile flickered across her face. "Then you are the right person." He glanced at her. "That doesn't make any sense." "It will." Darren shrugged and got to work. Her name, she told him, was Lyra. No last name. No origin. No explanation. Just Lyra. She stayed close while he worked, observing everything he did with intense focus. Not in the annoying way most clients hovered, but like she was studying him. Learning him. "You're not from around here," Darren said after a while. She tilted her head. "Why do you say that? You don't flinch at the noise. You don't complain about the smell. And you asked if I could fix everything, like that's a normal request." Lyra considered this. "Where I come from," she said slowly, "there are no mechanics like you." Darren snorted. "Yeah, I get that a lot." But something about her tone made him pause. There was no arrogance in it. Only truth. Hours turned into days. Darren worked tirelessly, dismantling and reconstructing parts of the alien ship piece by piece. The technology was unlike anything in human space. Organic alloys, energy flows that responded to touch, systems that seemed to anticipate his movements. And somehow, he adapted. He didn't question it. Didn't hesitate. He simply worked. Lyra watched all of it. "You don't fear it," she said one night. Darren didn't look up. "Fear what?" "This ship. Its systems. You do not understand them, yet you trust yourself to reshape them." He shrugged. "Everything's just parts. Doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's broken, it can be fixed." She stepped closer. "In my empire," she said quietly, "only a select few are permitted to even look upon such technology. It is considered sacred." Darren finally looked at her. "Yeah? Well, sacred things break too." For a moment, Lyra said nothing. Then she smiled. And this time, it wasn't faint. On the 5th day, trouble arrived. Darren heard them before he saw them. Ships. Multiple. Fast. Stay here, he told Lyra, grabbing a plasma wrench like it might somehow help. The hangar doors shook as armed figures stormed in, mercenaries, judging by their gear. Their armor was mismatched, their weapons well used. Hunters. Their leader stepped forward, scanning the area. "Where's she?" he demanded. Darren frowned. "You're gonna have to be more specific." The man's eyes narrowed. "The woman who arrived here. She is not what she appears to be." Darren's grip tightened. "Lady paid for repairs. That's all I care about." A few of the mercenaries chuckled. The leader didn't. "She's worth more than this entire station," he said coldly. "Hand her over, and you might live long enough to spend your payment." Darren glanced back toward the ship. Lyra stood in the shadows, watching, silent, waiting. He turned back to the mercenaries. "Yeah," Darren said. "That's not happening." The fight was short and brutal. Darren wasn't a soldier, but he was stubborn and very, very good with tools. The first mercenary went down when Darren overloaded a power conduit, sending a surge through the metal floor. The second got a face full of superheated plasma when Darren rerouted a cutting torch. After that, it got messy. By the time the last mercenary fell, the hangar was filled with smoke and the smell of burned circuitry. Darren leaned against a workbench, breathing hard. "Well," he muttered, "that escalated." Footsteps approached. Lyra stepped into the light. Her expression was unreadable. "You chose to protect me," she said. Darren wiped blood from his lip. "Didn't like their attitude." "That is not the reason." He shrugged. "All right. Maybe I don't like people getting hunted." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke. "They will send more." Darren nodded. "Figured. They will not stop." "Yeah, that's usually how these things go." She took a step closer. "You should leave." Darren blinked. "What?" "This is no longer your conflict. You have done enough." He stared at her, then laughed. "Lady, they just shot at my hangar. Pretty sure I'm already involved." For the first time, Lyra hesitated. And in that hesitation, something shifted. The truth came that night. Darren was finishing the final repairs when Lyra approached him. "The ship is ready," he said. "Whatever you were running from, you can outrun it now." She shook her head. "No," she said softly. "I cannot." Darren frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra took a breath. And then, she changed. It wasn't dramatic. No flash of light. No explosion of energy. Just a subtle shift. Her posture straightened. Her presence expanded. Suddenly, she didn't look like a stranded traveler. She looked like something else entirely. Something powerful. "My name is not Lyra," she said. Darren crossed his arms. "All right. Hit me." "I am Calethera," she said, her voice carrying a weight that seemed to press against the air itself. "Sovereign of the Volari Dominion." Darren blinked. "You're kidding." "I am not." He stared at her, then at the ship, then back at her. "Huh," he said finally. "That explains the weird engine." Calethera tilted her head. "You are not surprised." "I mean a little," Darren admitted. "But honestly, I've had stranger clients." For a moment, she laughed. A real laugh. And it was nothing like the quiet smiles from before. The next wave arrived at dawn. This time, they didn't bother with subtlety. Warships filled the sky above Outpost K-17. Darren stood beside Calethera, staring up at them. "Those yours?" he asked. "No," she said. "They are the ones who wish to claim my throne." He exhaled slowly. "Of course they are." The hangar trembled as explosions rocked the station. "We need to leave," Darren said. Calethera didn't move. "I cannot run any longer." Darren looked at her. "Then what?" She met his gaze. I fight. Darren grinned. Good, he said. Because I just finished your ship. The battle that followed would be remembered across systems. Not because of the fleets. Not because of the weapons. But because of a single human mechanic. Darren piloted the Volari ship like it was an extension of himself. He didn't understand half its systems, but he didn't need to. He felt them, adapted to them, mastered them. Enemy ships fell one by one as he pushed the vessel beyond its limits, weaving through firestorms, turning damage into advantage, using every trick he'd learned in a lifetime of fixing broken things. Beside him, Calthera commanded. Her presence was undeniable now. Her voice carried authority that bent reality itself. Together, they were unstoppable. When the last enemy ship fell, silence returned to the stars. Darren leaned back in his seat, exhausted. Well, he said, that was fun. Calthera looked at him. You fought as though you were born to this. He smirked. Nah. I just hate losing. She studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke. Come with me. Darren blinked. What? To the Volari Dominion, she said. Stand at my side. Help me rebuild what was nearly lost. He considered it. A throne. An empire. A place among the stars. Then he shook his head. Not my style. She didn't seem surprised. Then what do you want? Darren thought for a moment, then grinned. A better workshop. Ending. Months later, the Volari Dominion thrived once more. Under Calthera's rule, it became stronger than ever. But at the edge of its capital world, there stood something unusual. A workshop. Messy. Loud. Covered in grease and sparks. And inside it, a human mechanic worked tirelessly, surrounded by alien technology that should have been impossible to understand. Darren Hale never became a king, never sought power, never cared for titles. But in a galaxy filled with warriors and rulers, he became something else entirely, something rarer. A man who could take anything broken, machine, ship, or even an empire, and fix it. And every now and then, when the work was done, an alien queen would visit, not as a ruler, not as a sovereign, but as someone who remembered the day a human chose to stand his ground and change the fate of a galaxy forever.